Hi guys, welcome to Dramatic Pause. Today we are going to talk about the LGBTQ plus community within theatre. We are joined with Kiefer, Jack and Sharon. So guys, how do you, first of all, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How, should we start with how do you kind of define yourself within theatre? So obviously Grin Theatre, we'll start with that first of all. And how did Grin come along?
Right. It started about 15, 16 years ago.
Amazing.
And it was the need for representation within our community that really started the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And we've gone on from there, and we've got about 300 plus members
Amazing.
of actors, writers, directors, and whatever. And we're proud to say we are the only LGBTQ theatre company on Merseyside as it is. Not much funding. We're seeking funding at the moment. I think Sharon will understand all that about funding issues, whatever. But it's good to represent our community in so many ways, from all the angles, all the different colours of the rainbow.
Yeah.
And getting creatives on board. And we've got a fantastic collection of actors like yourselves, like you and Jack, associates like Sharon, writers like Sharon, directors, producers, and it's just going on and on and on. And it's just building up, and we're so thrilled that we've taken the fringe theatre scene by storm.
Yeah.
We've just completed Quartet, which you were part of course, and Jack was he was the stage manager for this one. But working with these people, yourselves and Sharon, it's just a blessing. I'm so pleased that you are on earth with me and the theatre company, because without you lot, everyone here, it wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
And it needs to exist. And our voices need to be out there and exist.
Most definitely, and it makes people know that theatre needs to happen, and
Absolutely.
it gives us representation where it's needed as well, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And we need that. You need that focus.
Yeah, definitely. It shows, it brings the light to theatre that should be seen, and shows communities, doesn't it, like ourselves. And Jack, how did you find Grin Theatre and yourself within the community?
So I first found Grin Theatre with the moons and everything.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the piece despite the craziness of it, I'll say.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I joined Grin itself, it was probably within the community the first time I felt actually validated and important, if that can make sense.
Yeah, most definitely.
So yeah, and because of that feeling of welcome and acceptance, it's got me coming back for more.
Amazing. So that was something really important that you said about being seen within the community. So it's kind of, theatre is so important to show us that like we can be ourselves and give you that light of who we are. And for yourself, Sharon, how have you found theatre within the community, and how did you get into?
I mean, we Make It Right's been going now for about 8 years, and I was a playwright and got to the stage where I wanted my work to go from amateur to professional, and it's just so hard because big theatres just don't want to put the risk on somebody who's unknown, as it were. So I started Make It Right just to support all the playwrights out there that wanted to put stuff on. And, we started self-producing, and then it turned into a production company, which is really quite bizarre. But at one point we were sort of teased and called Make It White, because we did have a lot of white actors and not a lot of diversity. So we sort of sat down, myself and Ted Gray, who are the main two people running Make It Right, and we decided we had to try and get more diversity. And we started off. We were part of Proud Daddy, that was produced at the Playhouse Studio. Not greatly successful, but successful in the fact that it was an all black cast, or a black story that wasn't about issues. It was just a story, and from that we did when it was the Eurovision, we did 4 Eurovision based plays, and that sort of sparked interest with the gay community, and it just you with a company like ours that is saying that they welcome everyone, you have to gain the trust. And so it's all been very gentle for us, a step at a time. But, we are now starting to, get appreciation from all sorts of people that say, we just feel really welcome, and it's such a nice community, and other places are not accepting us, and you are. We've got quite a big neurodiverse community in Make It Right as well. So it's just one of those things that we're sort of more of a, homogenous lump of people that try and get on and try and work things into every play, so that they're not just Make It White plays, they make it everybody.
Yeah. Which is so important about getting everyone out there. And I mean, first of all, we should speak about August and the queer festival that we've got coming in August.
This is going to be our first collaboration, even though I've worked with Sharon for a good number of years, doing the educational side, playwriting, directing and acting.
Yeah.
We've never really worked together as two companies. So we both thought it would be a really good idea to amalgamate the companies and give us a queer feel and make it a queer festival. Mm-hmm. So we've got 1 day of 3 plays, which has been cast already. And we've also got directors, so they're starting.
Yeah.
And we've got spoken word, which is going to be the day after. And hopefully people come and enjoy the festival of LGBTQ writing and directing and acting. And it covers a wide variety of things, so really excited about this little initiative.
And we've also got 2 workshops, because I don't think there's many queer workshops that look at theatre in that way. And we've got an idea to do, let's produce a queer Christmas carol to use something that's very Dickens and very
very traditional, use it from a queer
and put a twist on it, and to get the people that come to the workshop to think how you could do that without stereotyping and doing the usual tropes and making it all issues. Just make it make it a good story.
And the other workshop will be about incorporating LGBT characters in your writing and understanding more about queer writing in general, who don't really know much about, or sometimes can be quite daunting and say, I can't really understand, I can't really walk in that person's shoes. Mm-hmm. We're all human. We all have the same emotions. It doesn't really matter about sexuality or gender. We are who we are.
Yeah.
So if you cut it down to the base, to what it really is, it's an easy gig.
Yeah.
If you're willing to jump in, it's an easy thing. So this initiative, though, I'm really excited about queer words. So get as many people on board as possible. So
most definitely. And the date of that is going to be August and September.
Yeah, the 31st of August and the 1st of September.
Yeah.
Amazing. So that'll be exciting with all the workshops. I mean, one thing that you mentioned then, Kiefer, is about your writing. So I'd love to go down that lane about, obviously, fantastic plays with the Mooners and everything, and obviously the Queer Festival that we've just done with Queer Tet. How do you go about writing for the community?
My head is full of characters, full of plots, full of situations. I'm a people watcher. I listen to people. I listen to things in cafes, conversations, and it just triggers like that.
Yeah.
Since I was a child, I used to just come out with these fantastical stories. And because I'm a gay man as well, I'm proud to be queer, I enjoy writing plays about our community and our people, our folk. I've always loved writing. Started out as an actor, but then thought I'm a bit lazy. I want to do writing and directing mainly. And I just love it. I'm inspired by everyday life, but everyday queer life as well.
Yeah.
Which is really important, and to get our message out there, and to say to other writers, I hate using the word straight writers, just other writers, that opportunities are there, and we welcome, like, Make It Right. We welcome writers on board.
Yeah.
Come to us, show us what you've got. Let's do something with this. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
So we share that ethos quite a lot, me and Sharon. So it's important that our word and our truth is out there.
Yeah. I wrote a while back a play called Looking for Leslie, and it was about a non-binary character. And I was told in no uncertain terms could I write this play, and in no uncertain terms could I cast anybody except for a non-binary person, and I had to have a non-binary director, and it became quite hard to actually do because of all the restrictions other people were putting on me. And so it's a difficult one because, you know, we want lots of gay and LGBT plays out there.
Yeah.
But then we're, you know, a writer like me who's bi, I'm told, oh, you're a cis white woman, you can't possibly write about a non-binary person. But, you know,
that's a terrible what was said to you to do that. That should not exist. You know, I was quite fearful up until a few years ago about writing about trans people because I thought, well, I don't really walk in their shoes and I don't know, like they were another tribe. And then I thought to myself, and it sounds really wholesome and really cutesy, but we're all part of the family, we're all part of the tribe, we're all part of the LGBT family. And I got talking with lots of trans people, lots of people who I wouldn't really think I could write about, and took me to heart and knew exactly what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I was over the moon. But for someone to say that to Sharon, oh, you shouldn't really do that because you're not.
It's not my story.
No, that's outrageous.
Yeah.
But I mean,
if the research is there,
exactly.
If the research there, and mainly if the heart is there, the soul to do it.
I did so much research to get the character of Leslie, and in the end, I ended up writing a trans person in who owned a salon, and this person was just so, you know, to the bone. He was such a good character, and it's just, you know people, you watch people, you see people, and then you do your research, and then you show your play to somebody who is walking in those shoes, and say, is this right? And that's what I did. You know, I took it to somebody who could tell me that it was right.
I think equally, like Sharon was saying, writers, you've got to be brave.
Yeah.
You've got to feel that fear. I say to actors, just jump into it. Don't be frightened.
Yeah.
You know, it's performance, it's theatre. And, you know, the only person who should be frightened are producers who do not looking like a producer, but Sharon, who've got to sort out money things, cast issues, materials, venues. That's a nightmare. You know, I've done that, and I do that as well, but it's a nightmare. It's easy writing a play. It's easy directing a play. It's easy being a part of the play. Lots of people don't see that. It's an iceberg. It's only a small tip. You've got a huge iceberg of everything going on underneath. Huge. And people don't realise that.
No.
Yeah.
And that's it. We're so lucky to be able to put these plays out there and show the community. And for myself, who has been able to play characters within the community, like, we are so lucky to put it out there and show what we're about
to the wider community.
Who we are, and show that stories do exist in terms of, like, you know, the play that you just put on for Lollipop with two women that are married, and you'll be able to put the mooners and everything on as well, and it's amazing to put that representation out there. But to have people that tell us that we can't due to representation isn't right. And
no, it's not right.
No.
Within, like, within the wider theatre world as well, it's bigger as well, of people that are saying that you can't cast people who aren't gay. How do you feel about that? If they're playing a gay character, do you think they should be gay to play a gay character?
I know that an actor is an actor is an actor.
Yeah.
End of. Yeah. That's the way it should be. I mean, one of my first acting gigs, I've bored people with this story many, many times. I was in Equus. I can't use naughty words, can I? But I had to perform naked with a female actress. We had to on the stage. It was fantastic. It was so liberating. It was fun.
Yeah.
But it wasn't me.
Yeah.
Because I don't go that way sort of thing. But it was fantastic. I know loads and loads and loads of actors, straight and gay, straight
just merging the words.
straight and gay, who will go anyway. If a good part's there, it's a good part.
Yeah.
And a director will see a good actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are a good actor. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it would, in an ideal world, it would be nice to have more trans actors to cast and more non-binary actors to cast. But, it is a struggle if we've got a character and we think, well, we'll go first. First of all, we'll try and see if we can find somebody. It's rare that we get someone, but we just did Passing Moustache, which had a very, very diverse cast. And the first character is a doctor that's just transitioned. And so we were like, we've got to try and cast somebody who's transitioned, or who's trans. And we did actually end up with somebody, but it's so rare to get someone. It's rare to find people out there that we can cast. And so it makes me question why are there not so many people out there that are going into acting who are trans and who are, non-binary.
We found that quite a bit of a problem. Not so much now. We're starting to get a lot of performers who are trans, which is fantastic, and they are cracking, really good.
Yeah.
And it's great. And the flag's flying over Grin.
Yeah.
Rainbow colours.
Fabulous.
Absolutely made up. So.
Yeah, that's so good. It shows that the community is building within theatre as well, and we're able to get
trust. And people can trust us.
Yeah.
Companies like Make It Right and Grin, because what you see is what you get.
Yeah. Exactly, and people are wanting to see the plays within the community as well. And
I do know some people also want to see themselves represented in plays, which is what we're about.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
and
exactly.
how do you find that, Jack? Like, do you feel, as you said before, you felt liberated?
Yeah.
Does it make you feel liberated to be able to be who you are within a play to real life?
Definitely, yeah. Because before I even found Grin, every piece of theatre that wasn't like musicals or big plays that everyone knows, it always felt like they just wanted all their characters to be straight. And I was like, that's not the real world though.
Yeah.
And from other pieces of theatre I've seen, and it's depressing to see it, but they always, from what I've witnessed, they always used bisexual characters, and they made out the joke of, do you like women or do you like men? Or the one I've seen, which I think is a bit of a damaging trope, if it's a bisexual woman, oh yeah, she's just experimenting. But if it's a guy, oh no, you're just gay in denial. And it's like, and that is terrible to see as a bisexual as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, we are here, we are there. Don't just say because.
Exactly.
It's like.
I get I always get the one, oh, isn't bisexual another name for being greedy? And it's like, look, I'm monogamous. I've had a marriage for 25 years.
I've heard that.
I've heard that as well.
Yeah.
I think what I find, I mean, I don't want to say I find it hilarious, because what I tend to respond with is because I actually found this study somewhere that people were talking to, like straight men, straight women, gay men, women, and bi, everyone who identified, and how they were doing it was like, there was like, the study was on who was actually cheating in relationships. Everyone goes straight to bisexual and because you like both, you're most likely to cheat. And it turned out the study came back as bisexuals are the most loyal people out there. And it was actually straight women and gay men that came on top in the study.
Really?
Yeah.
So everyone's like, well, why are you using that? I'm like, well, it was a study that was being done.
Yeah.
But but I find that I'm sort of having a foot in both camps. It makes it quite difficult because, if I'm chatting up a lesbian, and they find out I'm bisexual, sometimes you can see them take a step back and then I'm suddenly blocked on everything.
Yeah.
Like I'm a sex offender or something, just because I'm bisexual.
It's not fun.
And so even from people from the community, you get this prejudice.
Oh God!
And so it's quite it's quite an odd thing being. I find it's an odd thing being a bisexual because, if I'm with a straight man and I tell them I'm bisexual, they go, "Oh, great, we can have a threesome." And I'm like, I don't swing. I'm just bi. It's like
I've heard that a lot as well.
I just feel constantly like I'm trying to explain what bisexual is, and nobody seems to sort of get it.
I mean,
really.
I say it's either you're constantly explaining or you're constantly getting sexualized.
Yeah.
And it's not fun.
No, it is quite a difficult one. And I also find that if you're watching a drama about gay people, usually the bisexual is the evil baddie.
I've actually never seen dramas where they've had evil characters bisexual. If I see it,
I've seen
it
quite a
tends
few.
to be the gay characters. Even it's like we're not evil. We're just like you and everyone else.
No, but the sort of the bisexual man that's in denial usually kills the gay person, and or the
I've only seen that in one show, but it's like, I think how they try to portray it was like, oh, it was getting too real too quick, and they just panicked and they just lost it, and it's not
the truth.
Like, why do that? It's like that we don't know if that actually happens.
Yeah.
It's like, don't show the worst, show the positives. Like, we need to be celebrating the positivity of it.
Yeah.
Actually, I was quite surprised because I went to see when Everyman had the female Othello.
Mm-hmm.
I went there thinking, oh, a female Othello, that's quite right on. Went to watch it, and then I realised that by making Othello female, you made Desdemona bisexual, and Othello kills her because he believes that she's promiscuous.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was actually then, bringing the trope in.
Yeah.
To
you can't just twist the whole story.
To something that wasn't that wouldn't have been a trope if you'd kept Othello as a man. So it was quite
sounds weird and different.
It's weird, but I think you've got to be really sensitive as to when you change sexual roles in a play.
Very true.
You've got to really look at is this working or is this
we're
stereotyping?
going to experiment with that next year with Midsummer Night's Queer.
Okay.
Where we're going to upend all the characters. Everyone's going to change.
Okay.
Which is good. Going back to identity as well, especially with gay characters in the media and films, there was a time when, especially in thriller films or rom-coms, that the gay character was funny, quirky, the best friend, or if they were in slasher films, they were usually the first ones to get close.
Yeah, first.
Yeah.
Times have changed now.
Yeah.
We may have balls, but we've got brains as well.
Yeah.
We've got a soul and heart.
Yeah.
And it's good to see gay characterization just evolve and make sense, which is really positive. And the gender bending, which we see in the theatre at the moment, like Sigourney Weaver's going to be playing Prospero in Tempest in the autumn. Fantastic.
Yeah.
That should be done all the time.
Yeah, I think so. As long as they sort of really look to see what changing the character does.
Yeah.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important, is like looking into the storyline and making sure that we are represented in the right way, and that we're not stereotyped to be the first character that's killed off because of sexuality,
which we normally are.
Colour.
Yeah.
Or the baddie,
quite often you get
the catty male friend
Yes.
who's always gossip. Why gossip? or always nasty.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
And it's like,
well, it's the same with black people. There was always a token black person, especially on an airplane, that was killed first.
Yeah.
It's like, I know of one, it was actually a zombie movie musical. It was where
A zombie musical.
a zombie movie musical. Yeah,
Lovely.
Ironically enough, set at Christmas as well.
Oh.
And I like the fact how the character who's a lesbian in that movie is one of the only survivors, because you never get in like any slasher type movies or zombie movies the gay character is within one of the first 3 dead. And I
Yeah.
love
All
the
the
fact,
time,
and I love the fact that because even though they had the character disappear for a minute, it's like, oh, did they get killed off camera? Next minute, they become the getaway driver last minute.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I find it ironic that that character is the only one that can drive. I think the only reason it makes sense they can drive is because they've got an American driving license.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all set in Scotland. So
Scotland.
yeah.
I think
Very
something
strange.
that you just mentioned then, Jack, was something that was really interesting. And I'd like to bring the conversation about it, please, is about, have you seen a change in theatre within the community of the past, let's bring it to like 30 years? Have you seen a change of more representation or less? Yeah.
Vast improvements. Still a long way to go.
Yeah.
I think there's still a long way to go.
Yeah.
I'm sort of thinking about bigger theatre. You know, that I mean, for a little while, Unity across the way, they sort of started to do that. Was all they were doing, with diverse plays.
Yeah.
So it sort of went too far the other way in that it was almost overrepresented, you know, and
it was saturated, wasn't it?
Saturated.
That's the thing. That, like we've said, there's improvement. There's
Yeah.
still a long way to go. There's still a long way to, I hate using the E word, educate and entertain as well,
Yeah.
but get our message through. And sometimes it's quite difficult, you know, and with funding issues
Yeah.
and with venue issues, with places shutting down or whatever, it becomes more and more difficult. We go over that. We try to surpass that because we've got that passion to
Yeah.
do what we want to do. Not just enabling the actors, but also the writers and directors. And in that way, I think we succeed, but there's a long way to go. What do you think?
I agree. Like, yeah, I've seen little bit of representation. I think they can definitely do a lot more. But like, most of my knowledge of theatre before actually becoming into plays is all from musicals.
Right.
And the only musicals I can actually name off the top of my head that have a little bit of representation, you've got Falsettos,
Yeah.
which has a gay relationship in it.
That's a good
Yeah.
musical.
Despite they do have some, I'll say, triggering themes. You could say one is triggering, which I won't get into on this. Then you got Rent, which shows a lesbian relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am a bit of a sucker for, my favourite song is actually the breakup song between the lesbians, though, ironically enough. I mean, but I tend to be the person that loves emotional songs that makes everyone cry.
Yeah.
And then one I noticed more recently was and Juliet, where they have a character, if I'm remembering correctly, they're called May.
Right.
But they've purposely cast it as a very flamboyant male. So I'll be honest, you may look at it and think instantly, oh, maybe is that character meant to be gay? But it's like, because it's meant to be like based off of Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
Which that probably wouldn't have been as more common as in the times it is now. And it's like, and I know one thing they do in that one, when the actors meant to playing William Shakespeare themselves makes a comment about May. It's not like negative or anything.
Yeah.
And the one that's playing Anne Hathaway actually bounced back with I can't remember the exact word, but something along the lines of, do you have an issue with how they identify? A bit of a big monologue-y speech.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like, it's one of them. You got the audience actually making a cheer for Anne for the comment she's made, like standing up for it all.
Really? Yeah. So it shows that representation and support that they should get.
Yeah.
It does.
Which
I mean,
is,
the thing you can tell when there's been too little representation, because when you put something on that's showing, you know, the minority group, you find people are just crying in the audience just because they've been seen, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, we found that with Proud Daddy, that black people in the audience were just crying because it was like, this is the first play I've seen that's just a normal story about black people in the theatre. And you know, it's just it's a case of putting things out there and just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, because it isn't 100% it's all right now, you know. We've still got to keep things out there, and I think particularly with trans stories, because you know, I think it's that they're seen as the last taboo, and they shouldn't be. It should be. We should be pushing more for that.
We need more trans performers and writers and directors.
Exactly.
So come forward.
Yeah.
Please come forward.
I think plays like Beautiful Thing, that's it. My Beautiful Laundrette, things like that. Propagate and get in people's consciousness. I think they're quite good plays. We did a gay version of Edward II by Christopher Marlowe a few years ago. We went down a storm. People loved it. We changed genders, we changed the characters, and it worked.
Yeah.
Because it actually worked in Christopher Marlowe's time and Shakespeare's time. They enjoyed playing around with the characters. And this is what we need to bring to the writers and directors we work with, that sense of freedom and enjoyment to create what characters and be comfortable in LGBT stories.
Well, it's a know of like all my pieces that I've been writing, other than the play I've wrote that I want to pass on to Keith, hopefully for a future queer tech.
Yeah.
I always make, as I word it, one character gender neutral.
Yeah.
Because the idea behind is like, one show it could be played by someone who's transgender. The next show it could be played by someone who's gay. Next show it could be someone who's straight. Then and the next show it could be played by someone portraying the role as a drag queen.
Yeah.
So it's like it's very open, the role.
Yeah.
And I do that with it's most of my musicals I'm writing that in, but I do that with all my musicals. I have at least one character like that.
Yeah.
Because at least there's some form of representation there, even if it means one run of the season, for example, the role was played by a straight woman.
Yeah.
When they recast, it can have a totally new look to the character, and other people can definitely feel represented because there's no like, it's no from like, this character has to be a woman with red hair.
Yeah.
There's no actual character description, so it's open for how you want to do it. Yeah.
I mean, the weird thing I just finished a course, a writing course for writers that are just starting out, and of course they all wrote interesting stories, but there wasn't any gay characters, and at the end of the writing course, we always put it on the stage with some actors, just script in hand. And of course, there was a lot of young men, and I don't have a lot of young men to cast at the moment. It just seems to be very few of them. And I'd managed to cast a man, and a young man, he didn't turn up. So I just threw a woman on instead. And so this relationship was now a lesbian relationship. And the writer sat there, and she went, "Oh, it really works as a lesbian relationship." And I said, write it in as a lesbian relationship.
This is why it's important to let the actors run, the writers run free. Explore the themes, and they'll find, like what happened with your writers, it works. Why does it work? It works because it does.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely seen another musical writer online. I can't remember his name. I think his first name is Gus, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But with all his plays he writes and musicals, he just puts the character as a name in the script, but he doesn't say if they're male, female, trans. So every performance of that role. So it's like, because I know his first play, I believe his pronouns are he, him, and that. But if I'm wrong, I completely apologise.
No.
But I know that the first time they did the performance, it ended up as like a heterosexual relationship.
Yeah.
The second time it became a lesbian relationship. Yeah. And the third time it became a gay relationship because they don't write in the description like, this character's a male. So similar, because they're similar to what I'm doing.
Yeah. I think on that as well, and something that Sharon, you said, it shows that theatre isn't different if you're gay, lesbian, within the community, part of the LGBTQ plus.
It's definitely evolving.
There's no differences within your relationship.
I mean, we've started as well with the writers drop-in, because we get these scripts and we don't always have the characters that they've described. So both me and Ted have started to be a bit naughty in a way, because we then we subvert the characters so that they then when it's read out they go, "Oh gosh, that works," Quite often I've got a young Chinese woman, and there's never any characters described as a young Chinese woman. But if I put her, if I cast her, people go, I never thought about her being, Chinese or, Asian or whatever. It was never, it's
or
just,
gay.
It just never crosses their mind to make the leap and do something slightly different.
Yeah.
So,
And why do you think that is? Do you think it's fear, or do you think it's just people are...
Oh, that's a long story.
Yeah.
A guy did do a study about in a school he had he had very few white people in his classroom, but they all wrote stories about white children, and it's because that's what they see and that's what they read.
Yeah.
And without companies like Grin and without exploring that, you end up with children just children becoming adults writing white stories and straight stories,
which is so sad.
Although one thing I've witnessed personally, I'm not saying it's completely fact, I've witnessed those that are in the queer community are the ones that are more daring to write queer things, and like those that are part of different communities, like those that are probably part of the black community, are more daring to write black stories. But it's like, I think it's most because they know what kind of needs to be seen and represented.
Is that do you feel safe in the writing?
It could be that, but I think it's more they know what needs to be shown, and they're the ones that are not afraid to push the boundary.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think it's probably those that are probably more who probably identify straight, or probably like, can I write about this? It could, it's like it could be that situation where they're not writing it. Yeah. It's like, do they feel like they're not allowed to because they don't live it every day?
Yeah.
Which my attitude towards that would be, if you want to write it, go ahead, feel free to. I'd probably say, if you feel like you need some advice or somewhere to go, if you know someone who's within that community or whatever, not only do your research, but if you want to ask them, talk to them and see how you can collaborate and see what can help.
Yeah.
So at least the story's getting out there.
It's important to do that.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's quite important as well. What you said about like speaking to people if you're writing something and being like, is this okay, or would this offend the community? And it's just speaking, isn't it? It's talking about your passion within writing.
Exactly.
Or about your character and making sure that you are following the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And how do we change theatre? How do we make... So if there is a play that's in Liverpool and it is a gay play, how do we make it not be this big announcement? How do we just make it like a musical coming to the Empire? How do we make it the norm, should we say?
By just being out there, relating to the audience and media and things like this, podcasts, videos, interviews on the BBC.
Yeah.
Getting our message out there and getting the plays message out there as well.
Yeah.
Just making us... Don't scream and shout and rant. People won't listen.
Yeah.
But if you take a nice approach and just be honest and say, look, this is the way we see it.
Yeah.
At Grin or Make It Right or at the Empire or the Royal Court of the Playhouse. This is us. This is who we are.
I mean, in Make It Right, there's a lot of... I can't say male, white and stale. No, there's a lot of middle-aged white men that are writing. And when I said, we've got this opportunity to write a 20-minute play with an LGBTQ plus theme, a lot of them were like, oh, I can't possibly do that. And I had a chat with a few of them, and I just said, you don't have to write it from, say, for example, write about a father whose son comes out to him, write about, so you're basing it on what you would feel in that situation, rather than suddenly having to jump in and do some sort of, big deal, make it from your point of view. And after talking to a few of them entered, which I was really pleased about. Not all of them, but some of them entered. And so it's just getting people, encouraging writers as well to put the gay characters in there, even if it's not a gay play. If there's a gay character in there, or lesbian character or whatever, that is just part of the community.
Encouraging.
It's just it's just one of those things. And when I wrote Looking for Leslie, it's about a book club, and so 2 members of the book club, one's trans and one's non-binary, and they're just accepted as part of the book club. It's not a huge. You don't have to make a huge mountain out of it. It's just people living their lives. So
exactly, it's all about representation, isn't it? And it's showing that theatre is about us all within every community.
Everyone.
Yeah, most definitely. And what's next for Grin? Are we going? Obviously, where is next? What do you reckon is next?
We've got obviously queer words with Make It Right.
Yeah.
Then we've got a series of one person. Got to be careful. One man, one woman, one person performances coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're excited to bring back to stage He Said, He Said.
Yeah.
Which is about this might people might run to the barn with this. It's about male rape, and it's something that's never been it's been tackled before by us, but such an important area of doing. And we've got the Shakespeare one coming up, and we've got other little things, and of course Queer Centre next year. So we're keeping things simmering, bubbling under.
Yeah.
So loads of exciting stuff coming. So
amazing, and it's all for everyone within the community, and obviously as something we mentioned before about anyone is able to audition, and it's not about just
it's not about age either, because some of the things that's actually coming on is going to be sort of age blind, if that's a thing. It's going to be open to everybody. So we've got quite a lot of good ideas, exciting stuff coming.
I mean the nice thing about one of the Queer Words plays is that it's about 2 old men, and when you have LGBTQ plus plays, they tend to be about youngsters.
I know.
And it's so nice to put some older people on the stage.
And it's a really good play, nice play.
It's super
really
nice.
Yeah. And that'll be out in September, from the August to
September. August the 31st. Yeah. It's
2 showings.
Called Lighten Up. Yeah.
It's good.
Amazing.
That one's called Lighten Up, and it's quite a good mix actually that we've got for the plays. So. Yeah, a bit of everything.
With the announcements of the plays, will they be announced soon on social media?
Oh, they've been announced,
Today,
so,
yesterday.
Yesterday evening. Yeah, it was the only thing I did yesterday because I just came back from holidays.
So it has been announced.
Yeah,
it has been announced.
Plays,
amazing. Well, it'll be so lovely to see them, and
definitely.
I think something as well that you mentioned is like that idea, isn't it, that characters are just of a young age, and it's a coming out story or your first relationship, or but it is nice to maybe have.
It's always been done to death.
It's become a trope of itself.
And anybody over 35, but it shouldn't be. It's open to everybody.
Yeah.
And we're heading, and I'm sure Make It Right are as well, heading towards that direction as well.
Yeah.
We've got to encompass everybody and everything.
Yeah,
I
think Make It Right have come the other way, because we were mainly older people to start off with, and we're actually going back down. But no, it's nice to do a bit of everything, isn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah.
So,
and that's so good again, just showing that it's supporting everyone, and everyone is equal, and we are welcoming into everyone.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Jack, what about yourself? You've got anything within the community that is coming up next, or?
So,
besides zombies.
Besides the scare acting, as I mentioned earlier, I'm writing a play that I would like to pass on to Kiefer to do for next year's Queer Tech, if possible.
Yeah.
I've only got the final scene to write.
Amazing.
And it covers a queer relationship in it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And as a first time writer, how do you find putting this play forward towards Kiefer? How do you feel like with the representation? Did you find it hard to be able to write this or think about representation, or did you find it quite easy?
I actually never thought about that. So I think it was probably like with Grin itself, knowing it's I'd say very accepting with everything, that it felt like I didn't even really need to think about the representation, if that makes sense. Not in a rude way, like
no.
But if I was passing it on to anywhere elsewhere, or specifically back where I'm originally from,
yeah,
it would be like, they'd look at it straight away and be like, no, we're not doing that. And it's like, and I know I'm not going to get into the reasons why,
right,
but I know why they would instantly say no to it.
yeah,
And whereas here it's like, it feels almost like nothing's off the table, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Even if it might be a little bit pushing the boundary. But I do see it in a way as like sometimes we do need to push the boundary a little bit, because if we don't talk about it now, when will we talk about it? Because I sometimes see it like sometimes we can get a little bit soft as a nation. And it's like we do need to talk about it. It's like the more we talk about it, the less it's stigmatized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I think theatre's always been a rebellious act, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
And to not push the boundaries is a sin.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
And I think
Absolutely
that
right.
all plays really should be, you know, really looking at the drama that's out there in life, and you know, exploring all sorts of issues and but also real life things.
Yeah.
That people like to brush
We've
under
got
the
to
carpet.
reflect the society we're in.
Yeah.
That sounds quite
I mean,
boring, but it's true.
It's
Yeah.
most definitely.
I mean, one of the things Make It Right are doing next year is we're doing a play about a young child that's killed in a family, and they you know, the sort of backlash of it all, and people going, oh, that's too triggering, you can't do that. But you put a trigger warning, or of course we can do it, you know.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
and we'll, you know, we might team up with some people on grief, you know, and it's got to be discussed, because I think, you know, there's so many taboo subjects in the UK, and one of them's death, and the other one is transsexuals, and it just seems to be the thing at the moment that if you don't talk about it, it's just brushed under the carpet.
It's hidden. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's been so important about this podcast today, is just being able to show representation and be who we are, and be able to speak so freely about
Absolutely.
the change of theatre and where it's to go next. So thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you.
Bye.